Hey, so I'm going to show you how, just kind of walk you through how we designed the Proloquo2go vocab to make it efficient on a light tech and how we made the light tech, how we physically made it. Let me just give you an overview first. This is just printed screenshots with tabs. They've all got, every page has a tab with a category flap and a stand. The stand is the Mary Louise Special. I can put a link to the tutorial for that down under in case you're interested. The category flap right here is what makes the light tech easier to navigate, and it also works as an index. The categories, see all this, it's just a screenshot. So if you swipe down on the main page, there's all the categories and the QWERTY. So it's a screenshot, but this makes this more available. The categories, because this is so integral to the navigating, it's actually available on every page in the high tech also. So if we go into inside, it's going to take a minute, there's a category page. If we go into food, there's a category page. So when we designed the high-tech vocab, I was very careful to make it 2 taps deep. I know Proloquo tends to really need to drill. Sometimes you have to drill down a few folders before you can get to the fringe word that you need. And I figured that wasn't going to be efficient on the light tech, so I was very careful to make it just 2 taps deep. And so from any page you're on, if you're talking about sports, you can go in and we need to add a person. So we're talking about sports and we went to the soccer game, and who was playing? It was a family member. It was Isaac. And so everything's just 3 taps. That's the most that you ever need. And that's what makes it efficient to use light tech and high tech. In most cases, the core words and the fringe words fit on main page. Like here, this people page, so there's our core and our fringe, and it all fits. Some pages we needed more. For example, animals. Whoops, that one doesn't have a tab. Animals. We had so many animals. Even with the template with all those core words cut out, there still wasn't enough for the animals. So we just swiped down a page. Go to animals over here. So there's the top page, and then you swipe down to get to the rest of them. And so that just flaps down right here. That's physically how it works. When we move the categories down here for the flap, so Proloquo just had this one line of categories, and it wasn't enough. This is how many we need, so we moved them down, but then it left us with this empty line right here. I filled that with pragmatic branch starters. It just seems to really help out getting the message across. Just a personal decision though. And anytime, so we printed this, but I've also printed these standalones. This one's actually taped to the counter. It's the core page, or the main page of the vocab, but we added a QWERTY. So anytime that we have one over here on the fridge too, added a QWERTY. So, because there's just never enough, buttons, words. You always will be something. There's not enough space to put everything that you would ever need. So that's why we put a QWERTY on everything that we print out. So I hope that kind of explained why, like the design on it. So what I was very careful when I customized the vocab to make it 1 tap deep. If we needed more space, we did a swipe up, which would turn into a fold down. That's kind of the theory behind it. Physically, when we went to print it, I just screenshotted everything. So I'd screenshot this, I'd swipe up, I'd make sure to get, if there was anything to swipe up, I screenshotted that also, printed it all out. I actually use a copy shop. My printer's not very good, so I use a copy shop. So I printed all of them to a PDF file. So it just came out all at once, but you have to make sure that when I printed, I did like the full page photo, and I did not fit to page or crop to fit or whatever that is, because that will trim the edge of it and you'll lose some of it. So I printed it to the PDF. I used Cute PDF Writer. So I took it to the copy shop, they printed it, I trimmed it. So I cut off, you can see where I don't have a message window. I cut that off and I trimmed all the way around. And then I glued tabs on. So when I was getting ready to print, I took this page right here and I separated it. So I photoshopped this line, I moved it down so I had space. So I had a row of categories and 2 spaces, and a row of categories and 2 spaces. So they would have a tab. See that little tail? That just helps keep it a little bit more sturdy. So I cut those apart and I used this tab, the category flap, to line them up to tell me where to put it. So if I want special events, I know that's right under here. And I can go down 2 layers and find special events right there. It just helps it make it easier to navigate. So I printed it, I trimmed them all, I cut out the tabs, I glued them to the back of the pages, and then I laminated them and then trimmed it and punched the holes. There are still, so these folders just came with Proloquo. They show up on every page. And to me, that said those were important. You need to be able to talk about these from every page. So, you know, when you're talking about food, you need time. And when you're talking about school stuff, you need time words. And so those I put not on this, but I put over here on the side. So they're in the back. So no matter what page you're on, you can still see those tabs and they're easy to get to because those were important subfolders. Materials I used, it was packing tape. So let me show you the family page. So I have the tab. It's glued on there, then laminated, but then I took packing tape and just put it right across the front here and then across the back, like from here over and from here over, so the tab can still function. So I used packing tape. I used duct tape down here. This is a 3-ring binder that I cut apart. Zip ties on the top. There's a luggage strap so I can carry it. I hope that's it. I hope I didn't miss anything, but let me know if you have any other questions and I'll try to elaborate.